Well, I definitely didn't see that coming at all. This season of the show is handing out deaths left, right, and centre now. The death of Sarah is something that's going to have severe consequences for Jamie, and I feel like all fingers are going to be pointing to him for both his father's demise and now also his lover's. Something which will probably bring a smile to Beth's face. With an episode that showed us how John Dutton was killed and it being opened up as a homicide case, it looks like things are finally going to start to get uncovered. Things are about to go extremely wrong for Jamie, and I'm here to see how it's going to unfold. So with that, let's jump into the video and break down all that there was to take away from it. Here is Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11, Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Jamie and Sarah. The death of Sarah was one that I definitely didn't expect, but I suppose at the same time I can see why it had to happen. With John Dutton's death being looked into as if it was a homicide following the discovery of the bruising around his neck and on his back, which showed that he was restrained, Sarah was now panicking over what it meant for her and the fact that she could be facing jail time if the truth came out. However, things ended up a lot worse for her. I believe Sarah was killed because the organization that she hired didn't trust her to keep her mouth shut under pressure and was worried that somehow it was going to get tied back to them. So the easiest thing for them to do was to eradicate the problem at the source, so she didn't have a chance to speak, hence why she ended up dead. This is probably going to have a large knock-on effect for Jamie though. The burner phone that she bought to call the Kill for Hire organization was in the trash, so I wonder if that will make him look suspicious when it comes to John's death being investigated. But also now, when we look at the death of Sarah, the last person that she was with was him. Plus, he also punched her in the face and he received a punch back, so there may be signs of bruising or a fight. And then also as well as that, he was on the phone to her when she was killed. So I'm now wondering if the police are going to be looking at Jamie as a main suspect for the murder of Sarah. I think that could well be a possibility. Honestly, I really didn't see that death coming and it caught me right off guard. The fact that Sarah said to Jamie that there was nothing out there that would connect him to John Dutton's death, with Sarah now gone, that kind of points all fingers towards him as he's the only other person that knows what actually happened to his father. Sarah has been like a safety blanket for Jamie in this season of the show, as she would comfort him when he needed it and calm him down when he was stressed. With her now gone, I feel he might start to crumble, especially with the police sniffing around him and also Beth and Kayce too. He's probably going to feel the burden of his father's death even more because she's now gone and can't take any of the load off of him. As well as that, Jamie has also been recused from his position as Attorney General by the new governor of Montana, Steve, as he believes that there's a conflict of interest due to the fact that Jamie is a Dutton. This is while the investigation into John's death is being investigated. Jamie's world is now quite literally falling apart. He's losing his professional career. The weight of the Dutton name has been lost because his father died. Kayce and Beth are against him, and now he's lost his comfort, which was Sarah. So I believe we're probably going to see him crack soon. Will the organization go after Jamie Dutton? I'm presuming not, as that would be another high-profile death that they wouldn't want to risk bringing attention to him. I think the death of Sarah is something that's going to make Kayce and Beth think that she could well have been responsible for the hit though, as the way that she was killed insinuates that she was a target. And what other reason is there for her to be a target at the time that John Dutton's death starts getting investigated as a homicide? Kayce's decision. Within this episode, we saw the focus at the beginning of it with Kayce and Monica building their new home together. This was to symbolize the new life that they were about to embark on. This occurred before John Dutton was killed and where Kayce's mood, mindset and priorities started to change. On the night that John was killed, Kayce was awake as if he had a nightmare, and the same was also apparent with Beth, as if to say that they could sense that something bad had occurred. Kayce was the catalyst for the investigation being reopened and looked into as a homicide because he didn't believe that his father would end things for himself. So once he saw the body, with the bruising on his neck and his back, he took it to the detective and he felt as though there was enough there for it to be looked into deeper. Kayce actually approached Jamie in his office and that was where he threw him over the table. Jamie wasn't necessarily lying when he said to him that he had nothing to do with it and that he had no motive for wanting his father dead, as it was Sarah who arranged it all behind his back. But the coldness in his tone was something that showed that Jamie was just a weasel and clearly didn't feel guilty at all. Kayce also spoke with Mo in this episode as he wanted help in determining what his vision meant. Kayce investigating his father's death is something that's going to come at a cost, and that cost is going to be his family life. Monica blessed the food before she ate, and she said, "Thank you for my family and the nourishment that they give me," before she then started crying, showing just how important her family was to her. This to me shows that what Kayce is going to do is going to drag him further away from Monica and Tate. It's going to be interesting to see if their relationship is going to survive it. Beth's dilemma. So Beth was learning Italian. Who knows why? Maybe that just tied into the whole yearning that she has to go traveling and to get off the ranch. Beth actually took a bit of a backseat in this episode as she had her business head on in wondering about how she was going to approach the selling of some of the land, which was now an inevitability. She knew that the ranch was reaching its downfall, and she'd known it for a while. For several years, she was pleading with John to do things differently. However, he wasn't willing to sell any part of the land, which ultimately came with a long-term cost of now needing to watch its collapse. It seems like Beth and Thomas Rainwater could potentially partner up in some kind of way in order to preserve some of the land that matters to them. Market Equity are looking to start construction in Yellowstone for the airport as the governor reinstated the lease that was originally in place before John Dutton revoked it. So now, Beth has to think about her next move as she wants to preserve as much of the Dutton legacy as possible. Every generation of Dutton has fought for that land since they got there, and it feels like this could arguably be the most important and pivotal battle that a Dutton is going to have to do. It's a different kind of battle though, that's for sure. My review of the episode. I thought this was a good episode of the show. It was definitely better than last week. Being able to see how John Dutton was killed was a good insight, and it connected to this episode really well. The ending of this episode was where the real action was at though. I honestly didn't think that Sarah would be killed off like that. It took me by surprise, and Jamie's emotional response to hearing it happened was something which almost felt like payback for what happened to his father. I'm enjoying seeing Kayce and Beth's togetherness in this season. I feel like we've not seen it in a little while, so when they're on screen together now, or even talking, it's refreshing to see that dynamic at play. This season is very clear in its approach. It's all about the investigation of the death of John Dutton and how it's impacting all of the characters, so it's relatively easy to follow. In terms of the performances, I thought they were all pretty strong as per usual. By now, we're so connected to the characters and the actors really embody them and give convincing performances. The one thing though, I can't believe we're already halfway through this new season. We've only got 3 episodes left until it concludes, so I have a feeling it's going to be pretty rapid in the next few weeks with the way that the story is going to be told. But regardless, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. So, there you have it. Yellowstone Season 5 Episode 11 Ending Explained. If you want to see more episodes of Yellowstone Season 5 being broken down, then click on the card in the top corner, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. What did you think of this episode? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.